So scapular retraction is a huge component for the bench press. We want to get those shoulders back and down, retract that scapula. That's going to put us into the safest position for the bench press, and it's also going to keep our shoulders healthy, and it's also going to help us move a whole lot more weight than we would if our shoulders are rolled forward. So if our shoulders are rolled forward, then it's going to put a lot of pressure on your shoulders. It's not the best position for you. So what we really want to do is push that chest out, retract those shoulder blades, and it's one thing to do this while you're doing farmer's carries, while you're deadlifting, but it's a whole nother thing if you're actually on the bench. It's a lot different, and it's going to take a little bit of time to really get down. So I'm going to sit on the bench here. I'm going to retract my shoulder blades even before I lay down on the bench. And so then that way, I don't have to really kind of reset when I'm laying down. So shoulder blades are retracted. I'm going to lay down. And so here you can see, I'm kind of just making sure that my shoulder blades are in a good position. As you can see, my chest is out, big chest, shoulder blades back. The opposite of that would be shoulders rolled forward. As you can see, my chest is not pushed out. My back is kind of more flat on the bench, which is not the position we want to be in. So pull those shoulder blades back, and that is what is going to set you up for a heavy bench and also keep your shoulders healthy. So let's talk about global extension. So global extension is basically the arch when you're on the bench and when you're bench pressing. So right, your shoulders are back, you're kind of pushing, not your hips forward, because when you're on the bench, your hips and your glutes are going to be glued to the bench, hopefully. And this is a movement that is semi-unique to the bench press, because when you're squatting, when you're deadlifting, when you're doing most other exercises, you don't want to be in global extension. You want to have your rib cage down, your abs tight, but this is going to be the most optimal position for the bench press. It's going to help you move more weight, and it's going to keep your shoulders healthy, and it's also going to help you to pull your shoulders back and achieve scapular retraction. So I'm going to demonstrate what that looks like really fast. So instead of being flat on the bench, right, we're going to get our shoulders back in a good position, retract your scapula, and then from here, I'm going to pull my legs back to help me achieve global extension. So I'm going to lift my butt up, just get in a good position, and as you can see, my chest is up. I have this nice arch, which is what we want for the bench press. And so then, if I unrack, I'm still maintaining this good position throughout the entire movement. So again, that's going to be global extension for the bench press. All right guys, so we're going to talk about leg drive when it comes to the bench press. So leg drive is super important. It's one thing that a lot of people kind of neglect or don't really know how to perform correctly. So when I say leg drive when it pertains to the bench press, what I mean is that we're basically doing a quad extension into the ground. So I'm going to get on the bench, and then I'm going to kind of explain what I mean. So I'm going to pull my legs back, because you can't do a quad extension right into the ground if your legs are up here, or a lot of people, old school bench press technique, they're going to be up in the air with their feet. And when we're talking about leg drive, that's not really the positions that we want to be in. So I'm going to get on the bench. Good scapular retraction, good global extension, and I'm pulling my legs back because it's going to help me drive into the ground. So if you can do this without unloading the bar, just to kind of practice it. So, and what should happen is when you leg drive into the ground, it should push you up on the bench. And that's the exact movement that we're looking for. That's what leg drive is. And what that's going to do is it's actually going to help you move a whole lot more weight. So if you're leg driving correctly, it's actually going to work its way up the chain to help you push even more weight. Let's go guys. So bar path and shoulder/elbow positioning for the bench press. I'm going to get onto the bar here and kind of explain the mechanics that we think about and that we should be thinking about when it comes to bar path and also our elbow positioning. So when we get under the bar, shoulders are going to be in a good position. We're going to be achieving global extension. And then when you unrack it, make sure that your shoulders are externally rotated. We don't want to be internally rotated, right? Shoulders rolled forward. push that chest out, keep your shoulders internally rotated, and then from there, we want to make sure that our elbows are at the right angle. So we don't want to be benching from the neck, right, at 90 degrees. We want to keep those at about 45 degree angle close to our body. So let me show you what I'm talking about. So I'm going to unrack the bar, and then when I come down, as you can see, my shoulders are close to the body at about 45 degrees. And then when I come up, same thing. My shoulders are still externally rotated. And the other thing is going to be the bar path. So as you can see, when I came down, I was aiming for my sternum. And then when I come up, shoulders still in a good position. We're going to come up in a slight curve towards your head. But we're not going to end over our head. We're going to end with our shoulders stacked under the barbell. The barbell is going to be stacked over our shoulders. So let me show you what that looks like really fast. So unrack, shoulders in a good position, come down, elbows at 45 degrees. I'm at my sternum level right now. And then when I come up, I'm going to end, the end range of motion is going to be the barbell stacked over my shoulders. So that's going to be bar path and shoulder elbow positioning for the bench press. All right guys, so today we're going to be talking about the main faults that I see on the bench press. So these are very common things that people do that are not necessarily the most ideal, and in some cases can even be dangerous and lead to injury. So the first thing is going to be benching from your neck with your elbows flared out. So when I get under the bar here, a lot of people like to bench up here, right? They're coming down to their neck, their elbows are totally flared out. This is gonna put a whole lot of pressure on your shoulders, and it's not the most ideal position for you to move the most amount of weight. So instead, right, we pull our shoulders back, we pull our elbows in, and then instead of benching from the neck, we're gonna bench from our sternum. And the next most common fault I see is people either benching with their legs out here, or sometimes even in some cases with their legs up in the air on the bench press. And this is very common, but we really want to get those legs under us so that we can achieve leg drive. So when I come down under the bar, excuse me, a lot of times people will be benching with their legs out here. They're not using the lower half of their body whatsoever. What we want to do instead is pull those legs under us so we can achieve leg drive to help us move more weight. The next most common fault I see on the bench press is people benching with their back flat on the bench. And this is a problem for many reasons. First of all, if your back is flat on the bench, you're not going to be able to get your shoulders back and into a good position. And secondly, you're not going to be able to achieve global extension. So instead, right, we don't want to be flat on the bench. It's really hard for me to pull my shoulders back when my entire back is just flat on the bench. Again, it's impossible to achieve global extension. So instead, get your shoulders back in a good position, get your legs under you, achieve global extension, push your chest out, and that way we're going to stay safe and we'll be able to move a whole lot more weight.